I always found myself sitting in the back row, a glove in my hand, dreams in my heart, but the coach's eyes always seemed to skip over me. Every time the team was announced, my hopes shattered quietly. No reasons were given, no mistakes were pointed out, just a silent rejection that slowly chipped away at my confidence. Still, I didn't stop showing up. Early morning runs, late evening drills, perfecting every minor flaw. I kept working, believing that someday someone would notice. But it wasn't the coach who did. One afternoon, long after practice had ended, I stayed behind on the field, throwing pitch after pitch into an empty net. Sweat soaked through my shirt, dirt clung to my skin, but I wasn't playing for applause. I was playing for purpose. When I looked up between throws, I saw someone sitting quietly on the bleachers. White shirt, calm eyes, a faint, unreadable smile. It was the coach's son. Our eyes met for just a moment. I quickly looked away, heart pounding unexpectedly. He didn't say anything, just kept watching, and then he came again the next day. And the next. He never interrupted, never commented, just sat there, a quiet observer, like some invisible force breathing life back into me. Without a word, his presence made me better. I played harder, more precisely, as if his silence itself was applause. Then one day, he finally spoke. "You're different. You play like it matters." His voice was soft but confident. I muttered a nervous "thank you," unsure of what to say. But inside, those words lit a fire that had nearly gone out. We started talking after that, about the game, the weather, our favorite music, and eventually about things that had nothing to do with baseball. He had a gentleness about him, but there was weight in his silences too. I could tell he was carrying something he didn't talk about like I was. Something heavy, something unspoken. There was a connection there, unusual, unexpected, but real. And yet I couldn't forget who he was. The coach's son. The son of the man who wouldn't give me a chance. The line between us wasn't just social, it was personal and dangerous. One evening, as we lay in the grass looking up at the sky, he whispered, "Sometimes the people we want to impress the most are the ones who see us the least." I didn't say anything, I just looked at him. And in that moment, for the first time, I didn't feel invisible. I saw myself in his eyes. And that's when I realized, maybe the most dangerous game isn't played on the field, but in the heart. It started with glances, short, hesitant moments where our eyes would meet and then dart away. We never spoke about what was happening, but the shift was undeniable. His presence had become something I anticipated. When he wasn't on the bleachers, I'd find myself scanning the horizon, distracted, disappointed. When he was there, I played better. Not for the coach, not for the team, just for him. His name was Evan. He told me during one of our late field chats, sitting on the edge of the dugout under a fading orange sky. "I'm Evan," he said, almost too quietly. "I figured you should know." I nodded, saying my name. In return, even though I was sure he already knew it, we both smiled, tight, nervous, sincere. From that evening on, our conversations deepened. Evan opened up slowly, carefully peeling back layers like someone trained to protect himself. He told me about how lonely it felt to be the coach's son, constantly expected to be someone he wasn't. He didn't play baseball, not because he didn't love it, but because his father had already decided who he was supposed to be. I told him about the sting of being invisible, of never being picked no matter how hard I tried, of feeling like my worth depended on someone else's blind opinion. We talked until the stars came out, sometimes sitting in silence, sometimes laughing over the dumbest things. One night, our hands brushed accidentally, and neither of us pulled away. Something was growing between us, tender, uncertain, real. It was the kind of connection built not on declarations, but on small moments, the way he'd linger after a joke to watch me smile, or how I'd memorized the sound of his laugh like it was a favorite song. But it wasn't without risk. I can't let him know, Evan said one night, looking at the ground. If my dad finds out, I don't know what he'll do. I get it, I whispered. And I did. We kept our friendship, whatever it was, hidden in plain sight. At school, we passed each other like strangers. On the field, he was just the coach's kid. But after hours, we existed in our own quiet world. One evening, I was practicing alone again when Evan arrived, holding up his phone. I recorded your session yesterday, he said. I think my dad should see it. I hesitated. You sure? That's a good idea? He smiled. You deserve to be seen. I didn't know what to say. Part of me feared the exposure, but a bigger part, the one that trusted him, nodded. The next day, the coach put my name on the lineup. For the first time, I was on the field. But as I stood there, bat in hand, I couldn't shake the feeling that something important had shifted, and not all of it felt right. Being on the field felt surreal at first. My name was finally called, my jersey finally mattered. Teammates clapped my back, the coach gave me a nod, brief, emotionless, but a nod nonetheless. For a moment, I let myself believe this was the start of everything I'd worked for. But the whispers began almost immediately. He only got in because of Evan. Coach's son pulled strings. Favoritism, obvious. Each murmur chipped away at the pride I'd barely begun to feel. I tried to block them out, to focus on the game, on the rhythm of movement, the comfort of the bat in my hand. But the doubt crept in like a slow poison. That evening, I waited for Evan by the bleachers. He arrived, face lit up with excitement. You were incredible out there, he said. I didn't answer right away. Did you show him the video? He hesitated, just for a second. Yeah, I did. He needed to see it. I looked at him, trying to hold back the sting in my chest. So that's why I'm on the team now? Because you handed him proof? It's not like that, Evan said quickly. I wanted him to see what I see. But I wanted him to see me on his own, I said, my voice sharp. Not because you nudged him, not because of you. He looked wounded. I was trying to help. You said you felt invisible. I didn't think. That's the problem, I interrupted. You didn't think how this would look. You didn't ask if I wanted your help. Silence hung between us, heavy and unforgiving. Evan's eyes dropped to the ground. My dad found out about us, he said quietly. Not everything, but enough to know we're close. A cold wave ran through me. He told me to stay away from you, Evan continued. Said you're a distraction. I swallowed hard. So now what? You listen to him. I don't want to, he whispered. But I'm scared. I backed away. Then maybe this, whatever this is, was a mistake. The words tasted bitter, but they came out anyway. I turned and walked off the field, each step feeling like it scraped something raw inside me. That night, I stared at my glove for hours. It didn't feel like mine anymore. I had fought to be seen, and now that I finally was, it wasn't on my terms. I had wanted recognition, but not like this. Not as someone's favor, not as someone's secret. I didn't go to practice the next day or the one after. For the first time, I wondered if leaving the game was the only way to keep myself intact. The days passed slowly, each one blurring into the next. I avoided the field, the locker room, even the lunch table where teammates used to nod at me. It was easier to disappear than to face the weight of being seen for the wrong reasons. I kept telling myself I didn't care anymore. But every time I heard a bat strike a ball in the distance, something inside me ached. Evan texted, called, waited by the bleachers some afternoons. I ignored it all. I told myself he crossed a line, that trust once cracked couldn't be repaired. But deep down, I missed him more than I could admit. One night, I found myself standing alone on the field. The stadium lights were off, the world hushed. I sat on the pitcher's mound, fingers brushing the dirt, trying to remember why I ever loved the game. That's when I heard footsteps behind me. "You still fit here," Evan said softly. I didn't turn around. Not sure I ever did. He walked around to face me. His expression was tired, raw. I didn't show my dad the video to manipulate anything. I showed him because I was proud of you. Proud? I scoffed. Of the guy who bailed when things got messy. I didn't bail, he said, stepping closer. I was scared. I've spent my whole life trying to live by his rules. But you made me want more than that. You made me feel like I could finally be honest about who I am. I looked at him then, searching his face. There was no lie in his eyes, just the kind of sincerity that's impossible to fake. You still listening to him? I asked quietly. He shook his head. Not anymore. I told him everything. I stood up slowly. And? He didn't take it well. But that's his problem, not mine. There was a long silence between us. A breeze moved across the empty field. I didn't want to be your secret, Evan, I said. I wanted to be someone who mattered out in the open. You are, he said. To me, you always were. Something inside me finally gave way. Anger, doubt, fear. It all unraveled. I stepped closer, resting my forehead against his. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. But it was real. Later, we sat on the bench in silence, side by side, the stars above us again. I knew the road ahead would be hard. The team might talk. His father might push back. Nothing would be simple. But for the first time, I wasn't hiding from who I was, or who I was becoming with him. We weren't a secret anymore. And maybe, just maybe, we'd finally found a place where we both belonged.